My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live, all of you getting together to cover the game that we love so much, despite the fact that it's a bit of a somber day as one of our colleagues has left us, no longer with us, the Professor Dean Jones. But we know that for everyone who knew him and knew him well, the first thing that he would have said is that cricket goes on and I want you to be there and I want you to even have a laugh on me. So Deano, if we have it, this one is for you and this one is definitely in your memory. A couple of gentlemen in the studio with me also who knew him very well, Sean Pollock and Harsha Bhogle. Yes, a somber occasion, but Deano would never have wanted it to be a somber occasion, Harsha.
I don't think he understood what somber was. Deano was such a great conversationalist. He loved the game. I mean, our game is actually a little village. You know, we're all just a little community. We're all just a little village. And if one of us goes away, it's a loss that's felt by everybody. And I mean, Deano just loved cricket. Sometimes you disagreed with him. Sometimes said, Deano, what on earth are you on about now? But he always backed what he was saying with numbers, with facts, with observation. He was relentless because he loved the game. And eventually, we're all in this. You are Gautam, Polly is. We're all in this because we love the game, and Deano loved the game. So, yeah, I'm struggling. I must admit, I'm struggling to come to terms with it. Deano was always someone you were in touch with on WhatsApp. You know, you always said, Deano, what do you think about this? Because his ears were open all the time, whether it was cricket in Pakistan or Sri Lanka. He always knew a little bit of the gossip about what's happening around. So Deano was cricket, really. I mean, we're not even talking about the kind of player he was, but just, yeah, it's a loss to our community because it's a cricket lover that's left us. So, yeah.
I'll come to Sean Pollock, who's joining us for the first time on My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Polly, this is a day, as I said, that cricket goes on, life goes on, but it's worth remembering the man, the coach, the legend, the player. So much he was in one.
Yeah, Gautam, it really is sad, and obviously our thoughts are with his family at this time. He was just such a character, wasn't he? You know, I actually ended up playing with him in a game in Australia in 1996. He'd been left out of that World Cup squad, and they were celebrating Victoria's 100th centenary, I think. And he joined the World 11 team. We played together against Australia, and he got 100. And it was just that kind of character. He was always there looking to prove people wrong and prove and show how good he was. Loved his cricket, so passionate about it, always up for a discussion, as Harsha said. And yeah, he'll be sorely missed. I mean, you can't even really contemplate what the fact is that he's gone. It just doesn't. It seems surreal at this stage, and it obviously is very real. But yeah, it's a hard one to digest. Very sad.
Yeah, we've just pulled out a few of his numbers. Of course, if Deano had been here, he would have said only focus on the double 100 at Chennai. He would have always got a discussion going on that. It raised him to another level, did that. But he sort of redefined ODI cricket. I don't think the numbers meant as much, Harsha. It was just the kind of culture he brought to limited overs cricket. I think in T20, he would have been a great asset.
He would have. I mean, that average of 44 in that era in ODI cricket was sensational. Walking down to the bowlers, that zinc cream, that slight sort of that Aussie arrogant look on his face, could play the big shot as well. Yeah, but the numbers are there. Eventually, the numbers come and go. I mean, they tell a story. But eventually, you look back and say, yeah, I mean, Deano was a friend. I mean, I think Gautam, you were there too when he was we went around and met him on that leukemia walk. All he had to say was, guys, would you mind coming? And you know, you're part of the community, so you don't say no. And what a nice time we had. We went over to his place, had a good time. He was a good host on that leukemia walk. John Wright joined us. Ravi was there as well. So yeah, I mean, he was that kind of person. He loved Victoria. He loved the MCG. Always had a slightly provocative point of view. But that's what our game is. So yeah, I'm in a bit of shock here.
I also think he was a game changer, wasn't he? I mean, you talk about his character and just the way he played the one-day game. You know, someone like a Jonty Rhodes led from the front and almost changed the face of fielding. In many ways, Deano's approach to one-day cricket was infectious, and it was so positive, and even going out to bat with his cap on, you know, made people talk about him. So yeah, he was a real fine character and did a wonderful job for Australia.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, you talk about the word provocative. He liked to get a discussion going. He had always a controversial point of view, but the great thing about him is he gave it and he took it as well. I mean, you knew that you had the liberty to say something to him. Even when we went on that walk, Harsha, I didn't know him that well. I was far too junior. And despite that, I went up to him and said, Deano, you were never a walker. Why are you going for a walk? And he took it in his chin and he said it's for a good cause. And he had something for good causes. He wanted to give back to the game. That's why anyone who remembers him today as a coach has the best memories of him, especially some of the young boys in Pakistan.
No, also friend of cricket. He was in Afghanistan. When there was that blast, he was in the commentary box in Afghanistan. He said, what are you doing in Afghanistan? I mean, he said, now wherever cricket takes me. So he went where cricket took him. So he was in Afghanistan, he was in Pakistan, you could find him in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, you could find him doing the Tamil Nadu Premier League, because he just loved watching cricket and talking about it. And his banter in the Star Sports studio was fantastic, because, as I said, he always came up with a point of view. And if you had a contrary point of view, he challenged it, not in a sort of very, not in a boxing kind of way, but in a very cricketing kind of way. And there was always a laugh. He'd call you message him, he'd reply almost immediately. He said, Deano, what do you think about this? So, Deano, what are you hearing? What are the whispers you're picking up? And Deano always got back to you. I mean, I remember he just called up once and we had an hour-long chat on broadcasting and whatever, and he was putting that in his book. He made that a chapter in his book. So it was always game for a conversation. He was cricket. I mean, Deano loved cricket. In fact, Gautam, you were there 2003-04, I think, but when we were in Blaubergstrand, just outside Cape Town. And Deano was in our studio then he was having a good time. We were all having a good time. So yeah, I remember that. So many memories.